what was your like very first performance, something as a kid or in school? When did you
Mm-hmm.
first step on a stage, whether it was acting or music?
Mm-hmm. Um, that would have been when I was about probably 20 years old. I was I had never once thought about making music or performing artistically. I remember my mom wanted me to do like, theater and shit, like middle school and high school, and I was like, nah, like sports, basketball, golf, like I don't want anything to do with that. I'm not like that. I'm not soft and emotional. I had these stereotypes in my head. And then obviously I grew up and realized actually I am exactly that. I'm very soft. I'm very emotional, but I'm tough as well too. And yeah, I was just at a party one night in college, and some kid was rapping, and I thought he was freestyling, and I was like, "Yo, that's sick, bro." I was like, "I can't believe you can do that just off the top of your head." And he was like, "No, it's this kid Asher Roth. If you guys are familiar with him, that would have been about 12 years ago. His song "I Love College," hit the
Wow.
nation pretty crazily, and I was just like, for me, it was interesting, right? Because I'm in Westchester, so I see this white kid that makes it from the suburbs, and I'm like, all I've ever known is black and brown folk being hip hop people. So it's funny, even though that's what I am, it just took that for me to be like, yo, you can really do anything in life. Like that was just like, yo, I haven't seen anyone blow up to that nature since Eminem, and he still didn't even reach the plethora of Eminem. He had a good little run for a second, but that was like, all right, let me do this. And then my friend hooked me up with his cook at Outback that had a recording studio, record a couple tracks, and there was an open mic, hip hop open mic in the town I lived in, and yeah, I went there, and the rest is history.
Nice. Had you been doing it like behind closed doors or anything? We were rapping in the shower or
I was always a person who loved to sing along to songs, and I think I
right.
realized now I was probably doing that subconsciously, and that helped. But yeah, I was never wrote poems or raps or anything. It was just literally that day at that party, and then the next second it was like, all right, let me start rapping. And I
Hmm.
think the crazy thing is, you say my first performance might have even been that night or the next night, because I remember the second I started rapping, I was never shy about it, and that's what I
Right.
loved about college. Right, even as shitty as I was back then, people just loved it. And so like every party I went to, everyone was like, "Yo, you got to rap," and it was freestyles at the wazoo. So I was never shy about performing, whether it was actually in a structured place or like a party function.
Nice.
Nice. And so, when did you make the transition, and what was your first paid gig?
Whew. So yeah, it was like I found the music probably in like, I want to say fall of '08, and then by spring of '09, I remember I called my mom after a night of psilocybin magic mushrooms, and I was like, yo, I was like, I can't do this school shit. I was like, I want to do music. I was like, this is all I want to do. And yeah, it's crazy how psychedelics can play into opening your mind, because like I said, the rest is history. I got into a recording connection, what was an audio engineering school in Philadelphia. Obviously completed that program, did another advanced program of that. So that's how I learned how to record. And I started messing with this company called Afton, which is it would hook local artists up with shows around the Philadelphia area. And that would be my technically first paid gig, because it's still like a lot of those showcases that are still around today, where it's like it's pay to play in respects to the fact that most of us back then when we were young, we didn't really know how to cultivate an audience. So really what they would say was like, you buy 10 tickets, right? Then you sell them for however much you want and you keep the profit, right? But most people would just end up buying the tickets so they could perform. So I did make some money the first performance, one of the first ones I remember, because a lot of my college buddies were so down to go to it. But it's like, they're not trying to go to a show every week, right? It's like you go to a Drake show, once a year, right? Not every day. So
Right.
it was hard to get more people to come out, but I didn't know what I know now back then. But yeah, that would have been it got started pretty quickly. Yeah, 2009 probably would have been my first gig then, first paid gig as well.
Nice.
It seems like you've spent a lot of time doing a lot of different sorts of editing. Is that
Mhm.
true?
Yeah, I like to do the VHS stuff. I like doing more cinematic, and then now that I'm into like aspect ratios, I really like tweaking that, right? Because I was just like, oh yeah, the black bar is on screen when you're watching a movie at home. Didn't even realize that, versus when I'm watching the real world and it's taking up the whole screen. So yeah, I definitely like to mess with the aspect ratios, and get a little film edit or a VHS edit in there as well too.
Because what sort of programs do you use to edit?
Premiere, yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So I always find it funny that everyone that comes in here is always looking at editing like it's a very daunting task. And I did when I first started as well. But like, it's funny to me how it's like the simplest, like Adobe or whatever, like the simplest editing can get you so far and like get you to where you are. And like, it's so cool how it can take you from one point to the other. And then like, cutting it all together and like fixing things as you go, doing reshoots, doing whatever, and like having it all come together is so interesting to me now.
Yeah, and it's just I don't like the word lazy because I realize I've always been shooting music videos, but I was overwhelmed back in the day, right? Of like hearing the word color grade when I was
Mm-hmm.
like 23. I was just like working on Windows Media Player. I was like, nah. But I'm glad I just did it, right? Just do it. Even if you don't do all the fancy smancy shit, just put some clips together, put a song behind it, and call it a music video. Like some of my favorite music videos in the world are the most shitty videos ever. Like Lil Peep, like Mac Miller was literally using just like a construction light, like and like a a little handheld camera, and like there's no color at all. You can barely see his face in half the shots, but it's
Right.
just about putting the effort out because when you it's the truest thing in life. That's why I said I don't like the word lazy. It just means I didn't want to do it back then. Because when you want to do something, you will discover what's inside of you. And I just had to wait till YouTube got beefed up, right? You don't even take no official class now. Just how do I green screen? There's a million
Mm-hmm.
videos on how to green screen. How do I color grade? There's a million videos on how to. It's so easy, and just take it one step at a time. My thing is I try to just introduce one new thing in every video, right? Just like, all right, this time I'm gonna do, a speed ramp or something. Next video I'm gonna do VHS editor. You get the picture. So one step at a time. It's easier than you think, I would say. I've learned that about everything in life, right? The first time I looked at a soundboard in, audio engineering school, I was like, what the
Yeah.
and then I realized after the first lesson, oh, duplicates. There's just a billion duplicates in case we want to record 80 tracks. Oh, that made it so much simpler just within those 2 seconds. So I would say the same thing with film and any editing software you're going to use. Yep. Once you
Right.
just learn a couple little things and the fundamentals, you'll realize it's so much easier than you thought.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel that way about soundboards when I see them. I'm like, what am I flying the Enterprise here? Is this a
Exactly right.
spaceship? Or just
Exactly. That's what it looks like,
I'll be
man.
the guy on the mic. That's fine. I'll go in there in the mic and we'll
Mic
get the
check.
the
Yeah.
guys doing the things.
I know
Yeah.
how to
I
use my
love how you
voice.
said you hate lazy. Is that a Kobe jersey?
That is a Kobe jersey.
There you
Shout
go.
out Kobe. Yeah,
I
me and
think
Kobe
that
got some similar philosophies, but I also got a little double-edged sword philosophy with my way of life here. I don't really like criticism anyways. I think criticism fucks with people's heads and doesn't just make them take action. Because they're so, like you said about the social media shit, like people are so worried about other people and like, oh, these people are fake or this, and like realize like some people are actually happy. Like you don't even need to come to a conclusion about anyone else's life. Just worry about your shit.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, less judgment of others and more focus on what we're doing. I like what you
Just do
said
it.
there too about just getting started and learning. A lot of people they compare them. The term I heard was people compare like I'll probably butcher this, but they compare their chapter 10 to their beginning. Like, so you see people online and you're like, this guy's been doing it for 20 years and you're like blown away by their skill and you're just at the starting line and you're comparing yourself to them rather than if you were to hear their story on where they were when they're getting started, you'd be like, oh, I'm in the exact fucking same spot as Eminem was before he knew what he was doing, or Mac or whoever. So yeah, it's just about realizing where you are now and getting started with what you have now and the means and resources you have now. You don't have tons of money to invest in equipment. Well, what do you have and what can you borrow? What can you beg? What can you steal to make it happen? Maybe not steal, but I mean steal in a nice way, borrow. Whether it's acting, music, filmmaking, like it's just get started. And there's the saddest thing in the world, and I'll use an example of podcasting, and you'd be on like an online Facebook group and someone's been thinking and wanting to start a podcast for like 2 years and the conversation they're stuck on is what microphone do I need to get or what platform should I start it on? And it's like that's not the issue. It's just get started with a microphone, realize that you can upgrade later and then upgrade when you have the means to do that, versus so many people like, oh, what microphone, I don't know, and they spend like weeks and weeks and weeks on website like Amazon comparison charts figuring out the perfect microphone. Like that decision when they haven't even recorded an episode is going to be the thing that makes or breaks them. Like it doesn't make any sense. And I'm sure you see the same thing in music, where musicians are like, what camera do I get? What microphone do I get? What editing software should I use? And that's not the question. The question is, when are you going to start? Why haven't you started? You should have started yesterday, and the next best time is start today.
Just like Nike said, man, they literally have the best slogan ever. Just do it. Like, just do it. Like you said, with whatever you got. I think I've realized over time, it's totally about the substance. Like, yes, equipment and all these things level up when you can, but the substance is what your art is about. And then the promotion and marketing is just about your hustle and telling people what you do and telling more people every single day. And when it comes to the product, my music marketing mentor, Adam Ivy, shout out Adam Ivy. He's got a great saying, done is better than good. We just want it done, because you're wasting time. Like I would compare myself when I was 19, just starting out. I'm like, man, Drake already made it, right? And I was like, wait, but I'm just starting. So why, like you said, why am I comparing my chapter 0 to his chapter 20? Because now I realize, oh shit, he's been dreaming of this shit since he was 7, 8 years old, when I was just worried about playing basketball. So live your own life. Just worry about your own clock, because it's ticking, and just take action. And the fruits of your labor will pay off eventually. And the little tic-tacky stuff, that's Los Angeles in a nutshell. Just everyone wanting to pay $1,000 for a video, this or that. And I'm just like, that's great, but like, what could you use that money better spent? Shit, I didn't even work for like 7 years consistently, and I was just making music and making videos with what I had, and that got me a lot farther than someone who just put down like $500 into some fake Instagram promo scam or some shit, and now they're sitting there with fake 12,000 followers that everyone can tell is fake, and people respect me more because I just did it the good old fashioned way. I've just been grinding and being patient, and I actually put out content.
Right. Yeah, and for people who are just starting out, whatever artistic form it is, they also, you'll have a better opportunity now, because you can access the lessons and the learnings and trainings of all these people like never before through your phone. So it's like you don't have to learn everything from scratch, like you're just discovering it. Like YouTube University, sign up for a master class, all of these things that are available, for whether they're free or investing some money into the training. Like you have access to all of that. Like, so if he's not already, Drake probably one day will have a master class on how to make your first mixtape or whatever. You don't have to learn it alone. Yeah,
exactly. And because I think you just got to do it and make the content, because I don't even like this whole notion of like anyone out there like truly knows how to make it, especially if you come a place like truly from the bottom. Like you said, you were very polite in saying, using the word nobody, but it's real. Like there's classes of human beings, and there's like levels, and there's different societies. Like there's the inner circle of Hollywood, and then there's everyone else who just happens to live there and is doing the same kind of thing. So nepotism definitely plays a role in like what goes on in life. Like it's not what you know, it's who you know. I don't think one of those things is 100% true on either side. I think it's a mix. So you got to just do what you do, spread your word, because like I said, at the end of the day, I think it'd be pompous for me if I do make it to like sit up there and be like, I know exactly step by step how I made it. But that's what I see is dark about marketing. Like people, they that's what they do. They can sell their product, so they're gonna sell it like this is like foolproof and this is the way to make it. And it's just like the big thing now is like Instagram. So you got to post every day and all this shit. And I realize most of the people that actually say that are either affiliated with that app, because what is that? TikTok and Instagram want you to do, just like YouTube. They want you to be on their app more. So I don't believe in that. I believe you should be consistent, but it's like you hear all these things about like how to and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, how to such a melting pot of like all the experiments that all the billions of us human beings are doing on Earth, and the 80-20 rule, like it might be 80% of just who you know versus 20% of your content. It might be 80% of your hard work and hustle, and then the 20% of who you know. So I think to say anyone knows how to make it in any industry is kind of yeah, it's pompous because it's just we all
Right.
have such a different path, and the idea is the same, right? Make music, put it out. Make films, put it out. Promo, marketing, science versus an art form. It's a little bit of both. So who
Right.
knows at the end of the day? Just do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I like what you said about that is, I mean, obviously there are some best practices and there's some things to learn, but like everything in life, it has to be tailored and custom to you. You got to choose what's authentic to you. You got to choose what works for you in your personal life and your family life and your relationships. And there is no, in the arts, like in the acting world, we talk about it all the time. There's no one singular path where like some professions where, okay, take a 4-year degree, then sign up and be an apprentice somewhere for a few years and then work your way up the corporate ladder until you're wherever you're at. It's like that doesn't really exist in the arts. Everyone,
Yeah.
to a certain degree, you can find mentors and you can find people that resonate with you, but you just got to trust that you're figuring out this life and what works for you and carving your own path and blazing your own trails. Yeah. And there's opportunity to do that too. That's the amazing thing about the arts is you can create things from scratch. And I think it's just more about creation. And I like what you said about done is better than perfect. My advice to people, I'm an actor, but before I got into acting, my step into it was stand up. And what I was told early on is just get on stage, and realize, especially with stand up, a lot of people make that first few appearances very precious where they're like, oh, I gotta be perfect. Or like, what if it doesn't go well? Like, this is my big debut. It has to be good. Otherwise, like in their head, they're seeing, oh, if I crush on my very first open mic 5 minutes, then the doors are open and I'm going to go straight to Hollywood or straight to the Comedy Store or whatever. When it's no, you're going to be as shitty as you'll ever be at this your first time. So get that shitty one out of the way and get number 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 100 and 1,000 and 10,000. Just focus on getting those performances out of the way. And then along the way, focus on learning and growing and improving and tweaking and leveling up. But just get the reps in first.
Get the reps.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I look at it as like just a crazy overall, just like totality of the earth view, right? So I think about all the years this earth has been here. And like I said, to say you know how to do something is that's very pompous to me because all I think about is the millions and billions of artists that have come before us who have worked so hard, who have followed the guidelines, like you said, because they do come from good knowledge. They come from past knowledge of other people saying, this is what worked for me. This was an important cog in me making it to where I want to be. But like you said, in any industry, say I want to be a dentist, right? There's the top dentist in the world. And I think when we're in the entertainment industry, we get so locked in on the people we see on TV, like the Leonardo DiCaprios, the Drakes, right? We're like, that is the only definition of making it, when we know it's not. There are plenty of quote unquote B-list, C-list, actors, musicians as well. Like I'm going on tour, which is like, that's why I say it's kind of humbling because I'm like, I've been doing this for a while. I couldn't even, I've tried A through Z under the sun. I've tried a bunch of different methods, marketing things. There's tips and which mic, how to record, and realizing like, yeah, like I'm about to do something that most people will never get to do in their lives. And after you feel like you deserve it, but then you also kind of feel like I just know so many other people are working hard and trying kind of the same things I've done and putting their own splash onto it. So it's like, I don't even want to go down that road of trying to think I know how it happened. It's more just like a fate, destiny type thing. Follow your path. Like I said, use the best knowledge you can. And I think it's important. Yeah. Add your own flair. Think outside the box. Take a risk. Be like, because my risk kind of now is just like, yeah, fuck that posting every day shit, man. Even if 100 billion gurus come and tell me that shit, I'm like, no, because it don't sit right with me. It's literally just me doing busy work like we all did in high school and we all hated. I'd rather be putting my time into making a music video. If that means I got to sacrifice a day where I post, because posting takes a little bit of time. It's like, yeah, so just do your own little self, and that will then become part of the book later on down the line, right? No one ever thought you could rap. And then one day someone's like, fuck singing on a song. I'm just going to talk. I'm going to talk with rhythm. And someone was like, that'll never work. And obviously here it is now. So there's always, mold breakers and things like that. So adding that little own of your own flair will make you realize I think it's not as serious, and like, you don't even be so micro focused on like all these little details of what is going to help you make it.
Right. Yeah, and I feel you with that social media posting, because we've got like multiple channels. You end up with your personal channel, maybe a business channel across all these platforms, and new platforms come out, and it becomes overwhelming. And I was in the same boat, to the point where now, just recently, you either do it yourself or you find other options. And for me is, or you don't do it. But for me, it's investing some money in a virtual assistant, a social media person to handle the posting, because it's like, ultimately, I don't want to look back on my life and be like, oh, what I really remembered was spending 3 hours a day crafting the perfect Instagram post. Like, that's shit I'm not going to give a fuck about. So,
Exactly.
and I'm going to want all those hours back. Like, how many times I'm posting like this perfect Instagram post, or making this reel, and then something happens where it doesn't load and I got to start the whole thing over. And in my head, I'm like, the last 30 minutes of my life is gone. It's like, I hope I don't remember this on my deathbed, because I'm going to really mad. I would have an extra half an hour right now, if not for that Instagram post failing, or losing my internet connection or whatever. So it's that balance of DIY. I mean, we're in an age where it's amazing, because with a cell phone, everyone can be their own media company, and there's not the gatekeepers holding musicians or holding artists back. But at the same time, now you're the artist, you're the videographer, you're the editor, you're the colorist, you're the PR person, you're the accountant, you're the everyone. And that ends up being a lot of time too. So it's finding that happy medium and the balance. And for me right now, one of the things is outsourcing social media posting. So we'll do the creation and do our video creation, podcasting, and do our shows, and then just pass off that to someone else to snip it up and edit it, and then posting, and we'll reap the rewards, but I won't have to be in the trenches, so to speak, every day with that posting. I'm pumped about that. I'm so excited to not have to post, because then you feel guilty. Oh, I'm not doing it. Like, I need to be posting more, but I don't want to be posting more, because I want my life as well. Yeah. What's like, what can I automate? What can I outsource? What can I not do? There's something to say about just not doing it too. Like, there's a lot of things in our life that we just need to say no to, and just dump, and be like, that's not something I need to worry about, So
yeah, because you can't do everything, like you alluded to. So I think that's even what I'm getting at with the whole post every day thing. I realized with everything I'm trying to do, mixing down songs, I'm in the middle of this campaign where I'm releasing a bunch of old music, film editing, getting ready for tour. Like, oh yeah, one thing can take a backseat. But like you said, optimally, you'd love to have everything pumping on all cylinders. And that's where you said you got to slow down, realize where you're at, use what you got until you can pay for what you want. And like you said, I think I would be on that at some point or another too, hiring out someone who can do social media, maybe get a little more creative with the post, so that's not a burden on me. And we can focus more time on everything else we want to do.
Yeah, because we all got to focus on our zone of genius, right? And it's like, what's the thing that makes you the most hourly or daily amount of money? That's you being in the studio, being on stage, writing, maybe some editing if you like to stay in there, and then releasing everything else. Because like social media posting, you can hire that out for a few dollars an hour, versus getting paid $5,000 for a show, or $1,000 for an appearance, or 10,000. Like, you get to that point, then you're like, well, why would I ever spend money doing a $15 an hour task?
Exactly.